Good evening and welcome to the Pathfinder Bible Experience 2021 Zoom meeting. My name is Pedro and we're here to help our Pathfinder Bible Experience coaches and club directors know what to expect for the upcoming PBE season. And Merlin Brooks, as our PBE director, is here and she's going to walk us through the first part. I'm going to share my screen with a document, and do is we're just going to read the document and then we're going to pause and ask for questions. Please try to limit your questions specifically to that section of the document that we're talking about. And then we can make our way through this and everybody will be able to get a clear understanding. So thank you again for coming on. Merlin Brooks, the time is yours.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Let me add my welcome to Pastor Perez. I'm so very happy that you can make it and you've taken the time to be on this meeting. There are three of us who will be explaining things to you and taking questions, and hopefully we will be able to answer you correctly. There is Pastor Perez, George Acosta, and then myself. I will be doing the first part of this document, trying to explain it as best I can to you. Now, we're having PBE virtually this year and physically. It's 2 in 1. We will have in-person team only. PBE team members and monitors will meet together in person. So these are the only people of the PBE team from the churches that will meet physically. We will have a maximum of 3 teams per location. So if your church should have 3 teams, then we will ask you to use your church if you have a large enough space to accommodate the 3 teams, each person at the table 6 feet apart, including a monitor, and then each table 6 feet apart. So this is what we will be asking of you today. We will be asking you to, if your church will be able to accommodate 3 teams, yours and maybe 2 others that we will assign to your church. The quiz master and the judges will be virtual. They will not be there with you. I forget, there with you also, you will have 1 OAV facilitating that location. So you will have that person there with you. Each PBE team will have 1 adult monitor, I just said that, present at the testing location. So you will have 4 adults inside there with your participants, with your pathfinders. All else will be outside. The parents, the supporters will be in their cars or in another room looking in. Any questions before I go on? Did everybody understand?
Okay, Sister Brooks, let me confirm. So each team will have 4 adults there, the OAV, monitor. Who are the other 2 adults?
Each team, each location, I should say that, let me change that, thank you. We'll have 3 monitors, the 3 monitors for the 3 teams and 1 OAV. The only person you might see walking in and out is the church's tech personnel.
What is an OAB? Sorry.
I officially appointed volunteer.
Okay.
That's one of the cluster coordinators, the zone administrators, the area administrators, one of the PAC members. It's one of the official volunteers from the Pathfinder Adventure Department. That's the OAV.
Yes. So we will be asking that the parents or the supporters stay in their cars or in another room that they can look in, but they will not be allowed inside. Also, the alternate for that team will stay outside with the parents or supporters at that time, until if they're needed in at halftime. Any questions?
Is there gonna be any inspections?
Inspections will be done by the monitors at each by each team.
Okay,
Or
just like
each
the
team.
NAD, like the NAD.
Yes, yes. Okay, any other question? Okay, so we will move on. Every PBE team member monitor at each location will follow the CDC guidelines, and we will have to be very strict about that. This is where the OAV will come into play, because the OAV will make sure that every person inside that room will have a face mask on at all times. Members will sit 6 feet apart, as I explained earlier on, around the table, and then teams will be at least 6 feet apart. AC system, we're going to ask you to check with your church if you think you will be able to facilitate 3 teams at your church or at a location that we approve of. We will ask that the AC be put on, not on auto. That is to make sure that the circulation will keep going all the time, not on and off, as we do it in our homes or offices. Any question on that before I move on? Any question? Okay, so everybody understand that. Parent support members will not, and I said that earlier on, I'm just saying it again, will not be allowed to enter the room where the teams are located or within the testing area. Parents and support members will wait outside of the testing area, or they can sit in their cars. They also, if they come indoors, they must follow CDC guidelines. That is, if they come inside the church, even though they're not in the area where the Pathfinders are, they must follow the CDC guidelines. And most churches have that signed up. Face mask is required, and they will test temperature and all of that to make sure that everybody is fine. I believe, that everybody's fine. Any question on that? Any question? Everybody understands. Okay. So at this time, if we do not have any more questions, I'm going to turn over to George and Pastor Perez, who will be explaining in details how this is going to be done technically. George?
All right, good evening and welcome to the meeting. As you can see on the screen, the next one says tablets and mobile devices will not be allowed. So no iPads, no Samsung tablets or any type of tablets of that sort. No mobile devices, cell phones, definitely will not be allowed. The same way that we treat it as if we were in person, if we go to the state, union, and division, you know that mobile devices or tablets are not allowed. So we're going to keep on going along with that. Moving on to the next one.
Before you move on, George.
Yes, any?
There were a couple of things that I didn't remember to say. And that is, or I can wait until later on. Okay, go ahead. I will wait.
Okay. And right, so the next section would be that each location must each location must have a computer, a main screen, a projector, and Wi-Fi. Preferably, we are looking for wired Ethernet connections, capabilities to connect and broadcast the live feed to display the questions. So the church, oh, I'm sorry, or the location that is assigned has to have the same way as if it was a Saturday morning that you have your presentations in the morning. You have it on the main screen. That's what we're looking for. So if you have a main screen, you have a projector, they must have a computer. Some churches do have Wi-Fi capabilities, but we're preferably looking for Ethernet, which is the cable that connects to the computer. And if it's possible that they could run cables to the laptops that are being used. And
George, could you explain also that we are asking for each location and or director to bring extra laptops?
yes,
Could you go in that?
asking for each team to bring a laptop, which you'll be able to see that in the next section.
Extra laptop, as we talk about, so that should, just in case something should go wrong, we're praying not,
Right.
that we will have that extra laptop or laptops.
I'm sorry.
Very good. The next section, I'm going to start here. It's in yellow. It's on the screen. It says each PBE team. This is the team now. The first one was the location. This is the team. Each PBA team must have a laptop that's able to access Wi-Fi or Ethernet. That's the plugged connection, and has a working camera and microphone. This will be used by the scribe. Each team will have to appoint someone, the scribe, who will access Nearpod to type the answer within the specified time frame. Nearpod is a website. It's software to record the answers. There's a code that will be required, and that code will be sent day of the test. In the document we sent to you, it said that everyone would need to create a Nearpod account, and we have figured it out that we can do it without an account. We'll do it with a code. So we will send every PBE team day of the test a code. All the scribe has to do is go to nearpod.com. They will have a spot to enter a code under the testing. It says student testing. They'll enter the code, and then they'll get in to be able to see the test and record their answers online through a system called Nearpod. The scribe will also read their answer out loud to be recorded by the adult monitor. Only the team's scribe will be allowed on the laptop to answer the questions. Team members will be asked to communicate in their own unique way to give their answers to the scribe and to still try to be unheard by other teams. So each team has a dedicated laptop. The only person from that PBE team that uses the laptop is the scribe. The scribe will go online to a website called Nearpod, nearpod.com. Once there, they will enter the code that the monitor will give to them. That code will give them access to the test. They will see the questions for the test on their screen. They will see the countdown of how many seconds are left on their screen. They will type in their answer on their screen. The team will be able to see what the scribe is typing at nearpod.com and make sure that it's correct and it's spelled right and all that it looks right. The monitor is also watching the screen. The monitor is hearing the scribe say the answer. So if for any reason at any time, the software, the website of Nearpod, where each scribe is typing in the answer, the adult monitor is also typing in the answer on a separate laptop that we're going to come to in a moment, and they are recording the answer as well. So this is the part where we have so far two computers. One, the location has a computer and a screen to project the questions through Zoom. Each team has a scribe, and that scribe is connected to type in their answers on their machine laptop so that they get credit for their answers. Any questions so far about the 2 laptops that we need each location to have and each team to have?
There will also be,
I am kind of confused. Pastor. So the questions will be projected on the like on a screen.
Correct.
Each team will have a laptop that will be connected to Nearpod,
Correct.
and then the monitor will have another laptop.
Correct.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, so you heard it, you understood it. So the first laptop is the church laptop or whatever they use at the church, or someone brings a laptop to plug into a large screen TV at church. If you meet in like, let's say it's one team and you can meet in the youth room and kids can still get 6 feet apart, and you plug into a large screen TV. One laptop runs the large screen TV, and that's where they'll hear the questions read to them. That's where they'll see the questions for the whole PBE team on the screen. That's all that. The scribe has their own laptop. They're the only one who actually types in the answer. So instead of the scribe writing the answer, they're typing the answer. And instead of putting it on paper, they're typing it into a system called Nearpod. That's all we've said so far.
I have a
So
question.
what does the monitor do?
We're about to get to that in a second. George is going to talk to us more about the monitor.
But
I have a
somebody has a
question.
question first. Go
I have a
ahead.
question. If we have a big fellowship hall and it has a projector screen and we have 2 teams, does it still need 4 laptops, or do we need the big screen plus 2 laptops for each team?
The
Yes.
second one, you need 1 laptop to put on the big screen, and then each PBE team, each scribe on each PBE team needs 1 laptop.
So that 3 would do then.
That's correct.
Thank you.
I also have a question.
Yes, hello.
I'm reading where it said the scribe would also read their answer out loud to be recorded by the adult monitor.
Correct.
So my question is each team gonna be in a separate room, or are you gonna have all these 3 teams in the same room and scribes, saying out their answers out loud?
Yes. So 2 things can happen. Each location, like if it's a fellowship hall, you can spread your teams out all over the fellowship hall, as long as they can all see the screen where the questions are being projected, right? So then there's more space. The other thing is the scribe can whisper the answer to the monitor. The monitor can be looking over the shoulder of the scribe to read the answer from the screen to prevent having to speak the answer. So there are several things we can do to make this, but somehow we have to make sure that the scribe communicates to the adult monitor, this is our answer, so that there's a backup to the file, to the answer that they're putting into Nearpod.
how much time is each question?
I believe the answer is at least 30 seconds.
Okay, because this exercise is going to take more than 10 seconds for sure.
Yeah. And
Okay.
that's something that they've built in. So all of this will be preset and pre-timed and coming from the division. And if you've learned one thing, the division gives more time than what Florida usually does.
Yeah.
So when you get to the division, they're giving like 45 and 60 seconds to answer. Good questions.
Okay.
I'm glad you're asking them. Any other questions?
Just before. So I was a little bit distracted. I'm not sure if Pastor Perez had answered this regarding the monitor seeing the question, the answer, whatever. What I think you can do, and I think he said it, but I didn't hear, I wasn't paying attention, is that each team is asked to find a unique way, number 1, to communicate with each other, and number 2, to communicate with the monitor. The other thing is the monitor can look at the scribe's laptop, and he or she will see the answer given by the scribe. I believe that the scribe can also, if the monitor didn't get it fast enough, the scribe can, because if that person press enter, it's gone. But if they edit, I think, or have, I don't know what the option says, they can go ahead, that answer will come back up and the monitor will be able to see the screen so he or she can enter the answer in their laptop. Am I correct thus far? I am a dummy and comes
Yes,
through.
thank you. And I see 2 hands are raised. Bernice, do you have a question still?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
My question is, will it be possible to have a practice test with this
Yeah.
method before the?
Yes. And we'll
That
get
was
to
my
that
next.
at the end. Yes, that is planned. Thank you. That's a great
All right.
idea. And we are working on that. We'll explain more of that once we're done with the document. And I also see Nova Ravian. Do you still have a question?
Yes, Pastor, that's me.
Okay.
Good night, everyone. No, my question is, you mentioned something about ensuring that everything is spelled correctly and things like that. I'm not sure if that was like an exact example. Are they marked down if it's spelled incorrectly? Because I know some words, if it's spelled incorrectly, then obviously that's wrong. However, in the event that, you can clearly see that this is what the child or the student or the youth was writing. However, they probably had a typo, which will happen. I'm thinking to myself, will we be using, or will the judges be using their discretion to say, oh, that's not the word that they were trying to write? Or it's gonna be a case of, no, that's just definitely wrong. I know it needs to be done verbatimly, but in the event that it's a typo, what's gonna happen? I know that we have in the monitor and all, which I also have a question about that, but I'll give you the chance to respond before I ask that question.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
so
more of the second one that you asked. So it's more of if it's a typo, like if they spelled one letter off, but they can tell that it's this. It's more of the team being able to see the answer and say, hey, wait, that's not what I said. Like I said, it was the 3 people, not the 3rd person. Like that's the kind of thing. So just, it's the chance for the PBE team to make sure that the scribe is accurately in the answer according to the answer they have given to their scribe. Just as always, the spelling and all that, as long as it looks like the right answer, like you can't say that it was the truth and then you put in there that it was false. Like those are obviously wrong. But what I meant to say, and I thank you for catching that, it's not to make sure that it's spelled correct, but just to make sure that if they have a typo, that they fix it before they their answer.
also, if it's okay, the monitors will not be correcting will not be scoring or correcting the answers. All the monitors will be doing is like a backup, because those answers will be going to the judges. So the judges, as if when they are physically there with you, will be making the final decision.
Correct. Yep. Very good. Okay. So let's go to the next section. I think we'll answer some more of your questions. George, we're ready for you with the monitor.
All right. So each team will have an adult monitor appointed to them. The monitor will be connected to Zoom. They will have their own laptop, so you don't have to worry about that. It's a separate Zoom meeting run by the Florida Conference. It's only to report any technical difficulties or issues that could happen. The monitor will also have an Excel document open on their computer or laptop and will record and type each answer for their team in the Excel file as a backup in case there is any issue with the Nearpod system. So pretty much, like Ms. Bernard was explaining, that they will be in charge of getting the answers in case there's something goes wrong with the team's laptop. So they have a backup. Also, the monitor will be, again, it will also be 6 feet apart. Any questions about that so far?
I will say this, George, and I forgot to do this when you and Merlin and I met. I put here Excel file, but we've talked about that and we'll probably make it a Word file because that's probably easier for most people. So instead of the monitor typing in an Excel sheet, they'll type in a Word file and just list all the questions. And we'll create a template, and we've even explored to see if we can do a fillable PDF to make that even easier. But just so you know, the monitor is recording the answer that the scribe is typing in on their laptop. So we have 2 records in case one of the systems go down.
Any questions?
Okay.
Question, Sister Brooks. In regards to the timing, I know the timing was mentioned for 30 seconds, but it was mentioned that the scribe, they will be reading back to the monitor what they have gotten from the team. The team will also be watching what the scribe is writing, just to ensure you have all those persons being accountable for that one person writing all that information. Or at the same point in time, when will the scribe be reading this? Is it during that 30 seconds time period, or is it gonna be after? Because based on what I am thinking, I don't know if this makes sense. If I'm typing something, I might be able to just read at the same point in time, but I might get distracted and I miss a word. So that would not be wise on the part of the youth that way I'm thinking about, to be typing and writing at the same point in time. And then if it's a matter of my trying to quickly to write it out or type it out and then like, oh, monitor, this is what I just wrote, even though you're looking over my shoulder. I'm not trying to be sarcastic or anything. I'm just thinking that in terms of time, how is that going to be done?
Good point. And
Yeah.
maybe Pastor Pedro or George might be able to answer you correctly. But what I am thinking is that as when we meet physically, that the team get together and they decide on what their answer will be. This is the same thing that will happen at this event, virtual event, virtual physical event. I believe that usually the children know their answers like that. So what will happen is they will agree on the answer and the scribe will have enough time to type that answer in.
Thank you, Merlin. And I'll add this. I think at the root of what you're asking is there any way that the team, the PBE team, could be messed up by the monitor trying to get the answer instead of the team focusing on typing their answer by the scribe in the time given to get credit? I think that's the question. And so what this means is the adult monitor has to be actively listening and participating, right? The adult monitor is not there passively just waiting for something. They're actively paying attention. So even as the team talks among themselves and they say the answer, the monitor is watching the screen of the scribe. They're listening to what the team is saying, and as they hear the answer and the scribe types it, they start typing it as well, all within the time frame. That's the way that so it's very actively involved. And if there is a need for the monitor to hear something, we will have a separate meeting with our monitors and we'll tell them, your job is not to interfere with the testing. Your job is to just be present and focused to get the answer, type it in a separate document, and just be present if there are technical issues. So that's really their role. And so we will work with them to make sure interrupt the team and getting the answer in the time frame given. Does that help?
It's kind of the question, Pastor, but it wasn't. I'm sorry, somebody was speaking. Go ahead.
I guess it's only gonna be your turn.
Would have been like, all right, I think the question that you're asking is if the person will have enough time to type it in or read it. Okay, so remember the same way that they do it in the levels. The person has to read the question twice before it even starts.
I'm sorry, Mr. Acosta. I think it's George. We're new. Palm Springs is new to Bible Bowl. Okay. So we don't know.
So the quiz master has to read the question twice before you could even, well, in this case, in Nearpod, before going to the next screen and being able to answer the question. In the levels of PBE, how it is the question normally is on the main screen, and all the teams are in the room and everyone can see the question. So by the time you read the question twice, you have an extra, I would say, 15 to 20 seconds by the time that you're supposedly are to answer the question. On top of the time that you have reading the question, you have an extra 30 seconds that the North American division gives you to answer the question. So technically you have about 45 to almost a minute to answer the question. In this case, the person's going to be typing it. So you'll have at least 30 seconds to type in the question. To type in your answer. The first 30 seconds is just the quiz master reading the question twice.
Because they do not have to wait until the question is finished asking. They can, if they know the answer, they can type in their answer right away. They don't have to.
That was going to be my question, because I know normally once the question comes up, the kids can actually start writing. So I mean, for somebody who might type slowly, if it is that they are able to start answering the questions the moment the question comes up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, I might make a suggestion. I would not pick a slow typer as my scribe.
Right.
Pastor, remember, some of these kids, I consider them babies. They are our friends, and some of them might not be fast typers.
Yeah, but again, for what it's worth, I would suggest you pick as a scribe your best typist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
Can I ask a question, Pedro, George, and Miss Merlin?
Sure.
Hi, it's Cheryl Forslake. Have we thought about maybe having the monitor just take a picture of each answer before the enter button is hit? Or have we thought about possibly recording the screen on a video of each of the scribes so there's not this second person typing everything?
We haven't. We're following the recommendation from NAD that the adult monitor would be the second backup. The idea of taking a picture is good, but then somebody's got to send 90 pictures to us later, and then somebody's got to interpret 90 pictures. It does create some complication. Whereas in a Word document, it's pretty easy to read. Question was the animals. I understand what you're saying, and it solves some things, and it also complicates some things. That's why they've chosen and recommended that there be a backup written answer by the adult.
But they're only going to need that for the ones that they're questioning, right? The ones that the kids.
Correct.
Nobody will be questioning that, Cheryl, as in when we meet physically, where if there's a concern, the pathfinders would ask the monitor to send a question to the judge. That will not happen in this case. The judges will be getting the answers, and they alone will make the determination if the answers are correct or not.
Right.
So Cheryl, just to come back to that, that's something we can consider again. It hasn't been something that we felt was the best solution. I understand that there's a complication with each of the systems, right? But at this point, we will have that monitor typing. We thought about having them write, but then you've got to somehow you've got to send that information to us if it's needed. The thing I'd like you to know that the main system that will send the answers that the judges will look at will be Nearpod. That's what the scribe types. If there is a problem with Nearpod, if Nearpod crashes or Nearpod doesn't work or some answer doesn't make it, the only time what the monitor is typing becomes necessary is if there's a question and if the judges can't make out what the answer was in Nearpod or if there was a glitch with Nearpod. So it's a safety system to have that the judges could use. And to be able to expedite all of this, we want that set of answers that the monitor is typing in sent along to the judges that same day so that they have all that they need to begin starting to do the scoring. In the room, I see several hands up. If you have your hand up, if you want to ask your question.
Before that, Pastor, before your question, I would suggest that that your monitor will be someone who can type quickly also.
Yes, good
That was my concern. Are you sending monitors to different people? Like they could slow it down or they could type in something different than the scribe actually typed. That was more of my concern with having the monitor typing.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, hopefully the scribe, it must be at least close enough, I'm thinking, because I mean close enough to what the scribe has put in, because and then the monitors, so it's 3 teams. We will just be exchanging monitors with the teams, and hopefully, as usual, we will ask them to be fair to the team, even though it doesn't really depend on them. It's what the scribe has typed. The only thing the monitor will be doing is to confirm basically what the judge is getting from the scribe.
Yeah, and so I think the issue is for the monitor, yes, they are going to have some skill with typing on a computer laptop. Like, that's true. And if they can't do it, might not be the best person to choose as a monitor. And that's not to be mean to anyone, but it's to make them not be uncomfortable, right? Like, why would we put someone to be a monitor to be stressed for 2 hours typing questions when they don't like typing on a computer? So please choose your monitors they recommend to us, just like you would choose your scribe carefully for your team. Bernice, I see your hand up, and then Jackie, and then Pauline. Bernice, do you still? Okay.
I heard that the monitor.
Bernice,
yes, I'm
another
here.
device is on.
The
We're not hearing
scribe.
you. Okay.
They need to have a laptop
Bernice, somehow
for
you're
themselves.
Glitching, Sarai. You need to reconnect.
Bernice, we didn't hear you clearly.
You can listen. Now you listen to me?
Yes, that's much better.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes. Good. Okay, now?
Yes, please go ahead. Now we lost.
My question. Yeah, my question is, each the scribe need to have a laptop. This laptop, the club has to provide them, or they will be provided by the conference?
No, each PBE team will have to provide a laptop for their own scribe for their own PBE team. Each club will be responsible for that. So that's part of the requirement to participate in the online virtual PBE.
Any laptop in particular?
I think that I would say the best laptop you can find that can have, and that's why we said in the statement that it needs to be able to connect to Wi-Fi. If it can plug into an Ethernet cable, even better. Then it doesn't have to depend on Wi-Fi, and it has to be able to process the meeting and the Nearpod software. So the newest, most current, you don't have to go buy a new laptop for this, but don't use a laptop that nobody's used for 10 years and is sitting in a closet somewhere and it can't even connect to the internet. Like, all you'll have is problems. So the best laptop you can find, each PBE team would have to provide a laptop. And this may be where you ask parents, or you ask some of the other kids. Maybe kids don't have a laptop, but because of all the online school and all the online work at home, I'm guessing that there are probably somebody in the church that could loan a laptop to the PBE team if they don't have one.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Let's go to Jacqueline.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is, may we have more than one scribe?
No.
Sometimes, the spelling or the wording, so they must have one scribe. And
one scribe per team.
The recommendation is to have one scribe per team. And I think you can have, so really the scribe is just someone who's writing in the answer. They're just typing the answer. They don't have to know all the answers. They don't have to be an expert at knowing how to spell, but they should be good at spelling and they should be good at typing if they're your scribe. It's kind of like saying, who should we pick as our secretary? Well, somebody who can write neatly, somebody who can understand how to take notes. Like, pick carefully who your scribe is to avoid problems.
You know that I have the language some of the kids, some speak English, others speak Spanish. So usually we have one that writes in English and the other one who writes in Spanish. Is there any solution for me for that?
Are you answering in both languages all the time?
All the time.
Okay. And Merlin, are we taking answers in both languages?
Jackie, can I get back to you with that? Because I need to get clarification from NAD, because even though we have been lenient with you, and they ask that you answer in one language all the time. So let me work with you off screen, offline with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question, and we'll follow up with that. And if that's a unique case, maybe we can come up with a unique answer, okay?
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pauline, do you still have a question?
Yes, in regards to two parts, I was wondering, I know you mentioned the monitor typing on a Word document. I was just wondering, why not do a Google Doc? Because that way it's live and you guys can see it. It's kind of cool. It's a shared document. So that's just a thought, do a Google Doc. And then the other question that I had is, when it comes to the monitors, is it a monitor, like say for instance, our church, we choose monitors that we know can type, that can listen, doesn't have a hearing problem, all that good stuff. Is the monitor that we choose staying at our church, or we have to switch out and go to a different church? Our church is switching staff monitors, or the same church?
Yeah, thank you. My understanding is that if there are 3 teams meeting at your location, each team brings a monitor. On arrival, those monitors will be distributed among the PBE teams so that each monitor does not with their team that they came with.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a minute. Each monitor will be pre-assigned according to because remember, we will be assigning the teams to each location. So if, for example, Westchester should say that they have enough space to accommodate 2 other teams or 1 other team, we will send that other team. And before the event, we will assign the monitors. It's within the teams. Or that person.
Sister Brooks, to add to what Pauline asked, at our church, West Palm Beach, we have 3 teams. There are going to be 3 monitors. How does that work? Because some of these monitors are also parents of some of these kids. So they're going to be dropping their kids at church. How are we going to?
For your church, you have 3 teams. We will get the 3 teams from the 3 monitors, from your 3 teams, be it a parent or a coach, but only those monitors will be allowed inside with the teams.
Thank you.
And we will just have to trust your teams and trust you that you will be honest.
Thank you. Good questions, guys. Nova has your hand up again. Do you still have a question?
I'm sorry, Pastor. Let me check if I have my hand up because, oh, I'm sorry. That's me. I thought it was mommy. I did have a question. Actually, not a question per se. It was more like a concern to a certain extent for the monitors who are going to be appointed to the teams. Are these going to be persons who the teams are acquainted with to some extent, like area coordinators or zone coordinators, like where the kids, like personally working with children, not youths overall in general, they tend to be very reserved, especially the ones in middle school. And those are mostly the ones who you're going to be dealing with for the Pathfinder. And in the event that if I were a youth like them and I'm supposed to just be relating something to somebody who I really don't know like that, it's going to take like a minute or 2 to warm up to them. So even if I'm telling you the answer, then I think for their best interest, they should probably, whoever they're appointed to should probably be somebody who they have seen or interacted with in terms of like area coordinator or zone coordinator. And ours is like really, really good. I'm not suggesting her, I'm just saying those are my thoughts in terms of the monitors. Not sure what we want to do with that information.
So let me answer that, Novia.
No, it's not Novia, Sister Brooks, it's Ravian. I'm sorry. It's Ravian. I'm signed into mommy's laptop.
Oh, Ravian. So let me answer that for you. I know it's your first time and you really don't know. So when we meet physically, the monitors are assigned to various teams. They don't know, some of them don't even know the people. It doesn't matter because the monitors are not there to interact per se with the pathfinders. They're there to monitor. And in this case, that is basically what they will be doing. They don't know them. This time, like in somebody just said they had 3 teams, at least because this is going to be done virtually, the pathfinders will know these monitors because we're not bringing in monitors. We will use monitors from those teams to monitor each team individually. But usually the monitors don't know the children or vice versa.
Thank you, Merlin. And thank you for all the questions. There is one more section on this sheet to go through. And also, Merlin, I just want to make mention in the chat, one of our teams is saying that they have 2 team members who cannot physically be present at the testing location. And I answered back, that was the first thing that we said. To be a part of PBE at the area or state level for this year, your Pathfinder will have to be physically present at the location. Yes. So unfortunately, if they cannot get there, they will not be able to participate just because of how we have said this is how it's going to have to work. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that that was in the chat. Yes. I want to go to George with this last part. Is it George for this last part or me for this last part?
You, Pastor.
Okay, so let me just do this last part starting in yellow and then we'll finish up with any other questions. Monitors will not interact with the judges live. Each team's score will be evaluated by a virtual panel of judges, no less than 3 people. The judges will also have access to the Excel file. That's what the adult monitor was typing if needed. Therefore, scores will not be released on the same day of the event. That's what you've been used to. That won't happen. There's no need to challenge a question because the judges won't even be present in the building. Test results will be emailed to the PBE coaches or directors within 4 days of the testing event. So once we're done on Sabbath, all of the judges, no less than 3 people per team, will sit down. They'll download all of the answer sheets from Nearpod. They'll start to go through and check. They'll enter all of the points into a spreadsheet. That spreadsheet will be then sent and we'll calculate everything. But there's no runner. There's no little adventure runner taking a question up to the judges. There's no challenging a question. There's no saying, hey, well, I thought it was this. The monitor is not a scorekeeper. They're at the table or they're at the circle with them. So it's a little bit different. And we just wanted to make sure that you all saw that. So monitors will not interact with the judges. PBE team members will not interact with the judges. All of that will take place later. And the monitor is just there to do a second recording of the answer that the scribe types into Nearpod. And the monitor is there to make sure that the team is doing what they're supposed to do and doesn't have anything extra at their little pod of PBE team members. So that's the big picture of what we wanted to share with you. I think the question, let me see if there are questions about that. And then you had some questions about practice and all that, and we'll get to that. But let's take the questions first. I see some hands are raised. If we want to go to those real quick, let's go to Jackie. You have your hand up.
Yes, if the question it's written or there is a mistake in the question per se, I know there's no challenge. How is that going to be handled?
Thank you. So the monitor is connected to a Zoom link as well. That Zoom link is to handle technical questions. So if somebody has an issue, if a scribe has an issue with Nearpod, if the church has an issue with the Zoom feed where the questions are going on the large screen, if there's a technical issue, like you just said with a question, that would be communicated to the adult monitor for that team. The team would say, hey, this question doesn't read right. Like, I'm confused. I don't understand. That's where the adult monitor would go into the chat room in Zoom, their technical Zoom meeting, and send a message to us that we could say, hey, let's look at this. That's where we would decide, okay, we'll throw that question out, or we'll deal with that another way. I will say that all of the questions are read and previewed before the event. And even so, sometimes you're right. There's a question that just doesn't read right, or it's weird and you're not sure what it says. And that's where they would go. The PBE team would talk to their monitor. The monitor would talk to the chat room in the Zoom tech room, and they would communicate that to us through that room. Okay. Thank you for the question. Let's go to, oh, did they leave? Was it, who had it? I saw a hand, but then it went away. Did somebody else have a hand up?
I have a question.
Okay.
Just wanted to confirm the process.
Okay.
So in terms of the answer being shared with the monitor, we're saying the child is going to put the information into Nearpod, and that will be sending the information to the judges. The monitor is going to be getting this information. The child is going to be sharing this information by speaking to the monitor. Is that correct? Not writing.
Yes, the monitor will see the answer on the screen.
All right, so that's my concern.
The scribe writes on.
So that's my concern, because I don't know if we're going to be able to maintain a 6-foot distance. Is a font going to be large, or the monitor is going to be coming in on the space of the children? Because remember, we talked about a 6-foot distance. There is no way we're going to maintain a 6-foot distance if the monitor has to come in to look at the screen that the child is writing on.
Yeah, so thank you for the question. And Merlin, the document does say that the scribe would communicate to the monitor speaking. It also says, we've also talked about that the monitor can look at the screen of the scribe to get the answer. So depending on what the situation is and respecting the 6 feet, that's where they'll figure out how they want to do.
And this is why we are asking each team to come up with a unique way to communicate their answers or their thoughts with each other. And, you know, that's something we're
so huddled together.
I beg your pardon? What did you say, dear?
They have their mask, they're going to huddle together. There's no way that at 6 feet each, you're going to have clarity. I don't see that. We're going to be together.
Yeah, that sounds, I agree with that. The issue is that
that's the reality.
I'm sorry.
Math works. Math do work. That's for one. Second, if there is somebody that is sick, or there is someone in the house that has been sick with COVID, the team needs to not be there.
Participate.
We need to be very, very, very considerate of everyone. Let's say my team is all practicing, and all of a sudden in the house of one of the team, there is a COVID situation. Westchester is not participating. That's it. End of story.
Right. Then we need to make it clear.
Be very, very clear. Because let me tell you, they're going to be together. Mass works. I did the gardening honor, and we were all apart, but there was a moment where we were planting and stuff, and everybody was together, and praise God, nothing happened. We all were. We did all the washing of the hands, the temperature, everything, everybody with a mask, and we had a fantastic time.
Nice.
So mask will work, and it has to be a good mask, surgical mask. If you want to put a fancy mask on top, you know, fine. But that's what I say when I get together. Don't give me this little flower thing. Make sure that you have a mask that really protects you.
May I just say one more thing? The concern is we're stating in our rules that the individuals are going to be 6 feet apart. Now, I understand, I work with a team, they're going to huddle, I understand that. But we're putting it out there to the parents that we're going to ensure that the children are 6 feet apart, and the monitor also remain 6 feet apart from the children. That's what we're putting out because we're basing it off the CDC guidelines. So we probably need to be honest about the fact that that is not likely to happen. If it is not going to happen, if we're going to say everybody needs to be in a mask and we'll avoid, just to make sure we're not causing a problem from not being 6 feet apart, then we need to just be clear with that. I understand it's an impossibility just about. And then if the monitor is not known by the students and they are in their space, that might also be a concern for some of the parents who want to have their children participate, but they're concerned about us being able to maintain that, that distancing. That is my concern. I know it's going to happen, but I just want to be, yes.
Donna, can I ask you to let us, Pastor Pedro, myself, meet and make a decision about this? I have an idea, but I'd like to share it with him first, and then we will communicate this to you via text or email. The solution, I hope, via text or email.
That is totally acceptable. I'm going to tell you, I work in the health field. I totally understand. I work with students and it's okay for me. I don't mind being with them and putting my mask on. I'm good with that. Not everybody is. So I just want to ensure that whatever we're writing on paper, whatever we're communicating to our parents is what we're going to do.
I agree. I agree. So Pastor Pedro and myself will get together and wrestle with this. And I promise you we will have an answer today or Thursday. Can we meet tomorrow, Pastor, by telephone?
Yes.
I have a question.
We will get back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, there's three people with their hands up, and then I'd like to go over some other dates. So let's go to Sharida.
Who, me?
No, it's me.
No.
Oh, Sharida.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I'm from Apopka, Spanish. It's the first time that we're going to participate in PBE. Since we over, I mentioned that I had 2 members of my club that they cannot meet together because they are not meeting face to face for this COVID situation. And I was told that they were going to find a solution for that. So I am worried because I cannot, I don't have a solution for two members at this point of the game. I cannot replace them.
Okay. Was it I who told you that we will find a solution? Was it me?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you remember when we met by Zoom on October.
At the training, yes. Okay. So I have to ask forgiveness. At that time, I didn't know for sure that we will be meeting virtually or physically, and I should really not have answered that way. So at this point, I'm not able to give you a solution to the problem because we are meeting physically.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, dear, hang on a second. We have N. Brown has their hand up.
My question is,
yes,
we are supposed to provide the monitors, right? So if I have 2 teams, I'm supposed to have 2 monitors that come with my 2 teams because even if we're meeting at our own church, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So simply means that the kids that are being monitored will know the person that we're bringing, correct?
In this case, in your case, because you're well, if you have 2 teams, we're going to hopefully put another team with you. So one of the monitors will be a stranger to the teams, because we're open to have 3 teams for each location. This is why we're asking you to let us know if you have a large enough place so that we can put 3 teams 6 feet apart in there. So with your 2 teams, we're hoping you will have space for another team in there, so all 3 can be 6 feet apart. This way,
Okay.
one of the monitor will not be you will not know that monitor.
But the other team that is coming to us will know that monitor because the monitor will be coming with that other team, correct?
Yes, but that monitor will not be monitoring their team. We do not put monitors with their own team. In your case, this is going to happen with 2 of your team, or at least 1 of your team,
Yes,
because
just one.
yes.
So simple means that the monitor that we're getting, we have to provide a laptop for that monitor also.
No. They have to come with their own laptop.
But I'm still saying, if I am finding the monitor, simple means that whoever we're finding. So if, say for instance, I am choosing my director, my assistant director to be the monitor, and we were planning to use her laptop for the team, simple means we have to still find an extra laptop.
Correct.
You will be
thank you.
finding 2 laptops for your 2 teams.
Plus 2 more laptops for the monitors, because we are finding the monitors also.
For your 2 monitors, yes.
Okay, got you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, Pauline, you have your hand up, and then we'll go to Yadira.
My thought is, this is not something that I need answered now, but just put in the food bank, put in the parking lot to think about and see if it comes up. But as one of the, I think Westchester is the one who said that if someone from her team gets ill or whatever, then Westchester just doesn't participate. I don't think that it would be fair if someone is ill or someone in their household is ill, that the entire team who has been studying for months to just drop out. Just think about, can that one person be isolated in a separate area, or if they're at home, whatever it is, but the remainder of the team, is still there huddled up or whatever, and maybe somehow we connect that number 6 person or whatever it is. But there has to be a thought and a solution, because cases come up every day. But for the entire team to just be able to drop out just because that person isn't there, but that number 6 person is fine. And they can, be in an empty room, maybe at home. Understand that the initial thought is we want every team at a location. But if it is proven that this person has a case at home, or they're, slightly ill or whatever it is, there has to be a plan B.
Yeah, so
Pauline,
we are not, go ahead.
Pastor. So Pauline, maybe you have been practicing virtually. Not every team is practicing virtually. Some teams are meeting together. And therefore, if one of their member tested positive for COVID, none of the members should come to the event, because that means that they have been exposed.
This one person just put, can they do it through Zoom?
No.
Can't.
Let me run through this real quick, and then we'll open up for some more questions. And if you have questions, we can stay on and go over more things. I'm going to go through this for review and then go through some tentative dates. In review, in order for you to participate in PBE in 2021, you have to have a location. If you can use your church, let us know. If not, let us know that you need to travel to another church. Are you willing to host a PBE area runoff at your church? If yes, does your church or location have reliable internet, Wi-Fi, or cable for Ethernet? Each church will need a computer, a screen, and audio to broadcast the questions to the screen, and that's through Zoom. Okay? And then the next thing is, let me just fix that real quick. Through Zoom, all PBE team members must be physically present at the testing location. Each PBE team must choose a scribe, a PBE team member. That's who the scribe is. Each scribe will need a laptop. And in that laptop, they will connect to Nearpod. And in Nearpod, that's where they will type in all of the answers for each question. Each team will need to provide an adult monitor. This monitor will also need a laptop. That's the review of what we talked about. Now, for tentative dates, we've said Thursday, January 28, 1 p.m. is the deadline to register for area PBE. You do that through padcms.org. That's not tentative, that's firm. The Thursday, February 4, we would like to meet at 7. This will be virtual with the scribes. Remember, the scribes, a PBE team member, to get practice with Nearpod. We'll send a code. They'll get a chance to enter the code. They'll get a chance to practice what it means and looks like to use Nearpod. Thursday, February 4 at 7:30 p.m., there'll be a practice with the monitor. That will be a chance for them to say, what's my role? How do I get into the Zoom meeting? How do I put a question in the chat room? How do I communicate if there's an issue at my location? How do I write down all the information? How do I use the laptop? All that stuff. That's 7:30. On Sabbath, February 6th at 2 p.m., we would ask that there would be a practice with the church, wherever the testing location is, that they would go over all of their technical equipment. They would make sure the projector's working, the computer's working, the audio's working. And then we would say that, let me do this real quick. We would say that at 3 p.m., that's when the PBE teams arrive and start inspection. And this is test equipment, pray, prepare for test. So that's kind of the timeline, just in terms of thinking ahead. We'll send this out to you for these dates to practice, but we wanted you to see that in advance. This is the big deadline for now. If you want to participate in PBE and you can make this work, this is the date that you need to register by.
Okay, so in addition to what Pastor Pedro just says, and I don't think we had said this, each church, each location, we're asking you to please provide a technical person, a person to set up the projector, the big screen, a person that will help to set up, or persons that will help to set up the tables and the chairs. And the person who will set up the projector, we're asking that person to be an and, so that they can be contacted by the facilitator, the OAV that is there. We're also asking, if it's possible, to have maybe a deacon or an elder or somebody there, so as to help with security. If it's possible, we would appreciate that, because then the OAV will be concentrating more or less on what is going on inside. So this we're also asking you to provide, in addition to what was said earlier on.
Okay. I'm going to stop the screen share and open it up for questions. Any final questions? I see some, I'll go through some things in the chat, but go ahead.
Me? Okay. How is it going to be the union and the division? What's the plan for that? Because I believe they are 100% virtual. Is that true?
No.
Yes. No.
It's going to be in person too?
No, I'm sorry. So the division and the union are going to do some things a little bit differently than what we're doing. It will be where they are giving 3 or 4 different options for teams to connect and participate.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're working on, but they haven't worked out all those details yet. You'll hear more about how those will happen as we get closer to those events.
Yeah, but it's so there will be an option of totally virtual and another in person. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
So I apologize. There will not be an in-person, meaning that we're all going to travel to Seattle, Washington. There won't be an in-person that we're all going to one testing location. But we would recommend that PBE teams for Florida would follow the same process that they did for area and state, where they meet together as a team physically in one location. So they're physically present as a PBE team, but virtually connected to the union and division testing.
Okay, so another thing, can if our church can only do, let's say, 2 teams, is that something that it will be okay for, or it has to be 3 teams?
No.
Or 2 teams is fine?
2 teams is fine. We would really, really prefer 3 if you can accommodate another one, but let us know.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. And I got a comment in the chat that the date changed, and I was wondering about that. I think I typed in the document that it was Thursday, but the comment in the chat was that the date is actually Wednesday, and I think that's correct. Wednesday, the 27th. Can somebody else to register? Wednesday, the 27th at 1 p.m. to register.
It's the 28th. To close, registration will be closed on Thursday, the 28th at 1 p.m.
Okay, we'll send that out to you to confirm.
That was confirmed.
And someone asked if we could send this document. I will send this document out to you again. If you did, let me say it this way. If you want a copy of what I just sent you and you didn't get a copy for this meeting, then please let me know. I am typing in my email address into the chat so you can send it to me and I'll forward it to you tonight. If you want a copy of the document we just reviewed and the notes that I added, if you don't need a copy of that, that's fine. But if you do want a copy, please email me at pedro.perez@floridaconference.com. And my address is in the chat, and I will send you tonight the copy of the document that we just did. Okay? And with the notes that I just added, correct. Okay? Very good. And we don't know how many teams are registered because registration hasn't closed yet. That was also a question that came up in the chat. So we don't know how many teams from North or Central or South or West are participating because we haven't closed registration yet. All right. I don't see any hands raised.
Practice tests that we can practice, you know, near pod and stuff before the practice that you're saying you're going to do.
Would that be helpful to you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me talk with Merlin about that and see if we can find something that would give you a test that you could run on your own through Nearpod.
Yeah, like 25 questions just for the
to practice
the technicalities. Yeah, because we know our material, but let's see how challenging, how easy, so we're acquainted. We don't have that stress. Oh my God, this is totally different. I don't even know how to put the code, you know.
I hear you. Okay. So we can talk about that and work on sending that out to you. And it may be the same test that we would use when we meet to do it through a meeting like we had in the schedule, but at least it would be the practice. That's what's more important.
Yeah, please, for the kids and stuff. It's just the emotions of it.
Yeah, I like it. Okay. Is that practice something that you feel is more important for you to practice on your own versus for us to practice together? Like, we'll still do our practice, but would you rather have a joint practice, or is a private practice in addition to the joint practice we're doing okay?
Private practice in addition to the other one.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Merlin, are there any thoughts to wrap up, or PBE coaches and club directors, are there any other questions before we conclude our meeting?
From me, we do have a lot that we will share with you later on. We have a few meetings that we have to do, not only Pastor Perez and myself, but with other team members of this PBE committee. But we will let you know as we go along. Right now, you need to be thinking of who your monitor, very important, and who your scribe will be.
Yeah. Yeah, and also the equipment, and start asking your church, if you're going to use your church, say, do we have reliable internet? Like, can we have 3 different computers or 6 different computers or 9 different computers, depending on how many teams will be there? Can our Wi-Fi handle that? Or do we have cables that we can use to plug into Wi-Fi or to plug into the internet? those are all the right questions. And we'll script some of this and send it out to you. So here's what I want to encourage you with, right? Like, this is still PBE, and this is still getting kids to study and read and memorize scripture and benefit from it. Like, that hasn't changed. The system has changed. The venue has changed. Like, the way that we're going to do it is different. But the result is we still want to encourage kids to study scripture, and that's still happening. And that's happening because of your leadership at the local level. It's happening because of your commitment to your local PBE team, and we thank you for that. All this other stuff might feel weird because it's new, right? It might feel weird because you've never done it. But I can tell you, the more time that you spend with it, we'll send you a link, what we can, to get you the questions so you can start practicing that in Nearpod. The more you get exposure and experience, the more relaxed you'll feel and the more ready you'll feel when we actually come to the testing day. So I thank you for being on and for your interest. I think you understand, like I do, that this is a different time, but all it means is we get to be more creative. All it means is we get to try new things. All it means is we get to test the abilities of what we can come up with to find new ways to do things. And so I think this is a good system that NAD has recommended to us. I think as you spend time with it, you'll get more and more familiar with it. And I think that you might actually enjoy it. So we'll do all we can to get you prepared. That's what tonight is all about, is helping you get prepared so that you can tell your PBE team, here's what's going on, and here's how it's going to happen, and here's what it looks like, and here's how we can be prepared. Before you close, Merlin, I would like to at least recognize that the Honorable Calvin Brooks is here tonight, our Pathfinder State Administrator. We want to say hi. Thank you for being on. Okay. And there is one of Florida's very own and not too recently wed leaders. Want to say hi to Bree. Nice to see you on here tonight.
Hi, Bree. And Jose. Jose, good.
Hi, Miss Bree.
And Jose was my next one I wanted to acknowledge. I acknowledged him at the beginning, but we want to thank you for being on. And also Martha Lewis, her name is here, so for your support. And we want to thank all of you. I think I saw Anthony Shaw at one point coming into the meeting. Jackie Amiche is here. And of course, George has been a part of our meeting. So thank you to our volunteer team. And if you have any other questions, I think you know how to get a hold of me. You know how to get a hold of Merlin. We'll do all we can to get you all the answers you need so you can tell your teams how to prepare and get ready for a great PBE 2021.
And hopefully 2022, we will meet together.
Let's pray for that, right?
Oh, hey, there's Anthony. Anthony is one of our volunteers too. Hello, sir. Standing there like my bodyguard. We need to have you at our sites. Very good. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. I appreciate it. And thank you.
Can I say something really quick to the other teams here?
Please.
You know, I think, Miss Donna, you had said, well, what if a person gets sick? What happens to the team? That happened to us at the Georgia level, I guess you want to say the union level 2 years ago. One of our team members got sick, couldn't come. So the other team, the other members of the team had 3 days to split up his verses and cram them. And they crammed them and crammed them. We didn't think we were going to go on, but we prayed and prayed, and those kids learned those verses. The kids are very versatile. They will make up and they will do what they need to do to make up for whoever can't come or whoever doesn't learn their verses. So it's something to just prepare your kids. It may happen.
Yeah, thank you. And let me just say this, Merlin, sorry to interrupt one more time. I expect that something's going to go wrong, right? Like there'll be some glitch somewhere. There'll be some technical issue. There'll be some challenge. And all I ask in advance is that you pray that we'll get through this and that you'd be patient with us. I can't control everything. I hope you know that you can't control everything, right? And we can do all that we can to ensure that it goes as well as it can. So let's all do our best to do the very best that we can. But let's also know that this is a whole different animal. Like this is a whole different adventure. Just imagine trying to connect all these locations through Nearpod, through Zoom, through all the different things we're talking about. Like this is quite an undertaking and it's going to take all of our best effort, but I think we can do it. And I think we can do it together. And I think it'll be great to look back and say, wow, this was a great experience. And kids benefited from it because they got to learn more and still do their testing and see what they knew. So thank you in advance for helping us. And if you see issues or have concerns, please share them. We have tried to think through most of the things, but that doesn't mean we always catch it. So we need your input. And tonight you've helped us refine and sharpen this whole plan. So thank you for what you've done even tonight. And we look forward to how this is going to go.
And Pastor, I was just scrolling down the list to see who are here. I see we have Jay, our drill instructor. She's also here with us tonight.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey,
right.
Jay. Very nice. Thank you.
Okay, so before I pray, I just want to add my thank you for those of you who came on tonight, for the thoughts you shared with us, for the suggestions, not only thoughts of and questions we will have to go back and think about. I really appreciate it and I thank you. Just one thing, please remember when you're talking to your church or your location personnel to ask, or you yourself, to get 1 or 2 extra laptop that can be connected to the Wi-Fi or the internet. We're hoping that we will not need it by God's grace, but just in case. And if there's nothing else, I'd like to close with prayer. And again, I'm available. You know, you can text me, email me, call me. I might not answer right away, but I do answer. Okay, is that fine? Is that okay? Can I go ahead and pray?
Please.
Let's pray. Oh, most kind, loving Father, we just want to give you all the thanks and the praise for taking us through this meeting. We pray that our coaches, directors have learned something, have gotten new insight and what we'll be doing through this pandemic, because of this pandemic. Lord, we know that you are allowing this for reasons that we may not see. But one thing I do know is that we're able to communicate. You have made it possible for us to communicate virtually, and see each other, even if we cannot be with each other physically. We ask you to continue to be with each person, each director, each coach, be with the pathfinders. I ask you to continue to give them the knowledge and the wisdom and the comprehension of these questions that they will be asked. We ask you, Lord, to be there with us as we make plans, not our own thoughts, but what you want us to do. So Lord, as we separate from each other virtually, we ask you to not leave us, but to continue to be with us. Bless each person, I pray, for Christ's sake. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.